Welcome back to DC Wrap, everyone. I'm Pat Pobletti with WisPolitics.com. My guest this week is Ron Bonjean, Wisconsin native, Republican insider, strategist, and partner at Rokk Solutions, a Washington-based public affairs firm. Ron, thanks for taking the time to join me. And did I get all your titles right?
Pat, you nailed it. Thanks so much for having me on. It's really great to be here, and I'm just always excited to talk to folks from Wisconsin and to get back here as often as I can.
So let's start off with the next phase of coronavirus relief. There seems to be quite a bit of jockeying between the administration, House Dems, and Senate Republicans as to what this is actually going to look like. Can you kind of lay out for us what the battle lines are here?
Yeah, you bet. The battle lines are over the overall spending amounts and the priorities within those amounts. And you have, the House has passed a 3.5, trillion-dollar package. Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is introduced the Republican version, which is $1 trillion. And, the Democrats are saying collectively, you told me in this January that we would be saying $1 trillion versus 3.5 trillion in terms of what is enough. It's quite staggering. Fiscal conservatives, fiscal hawks have really pushed back and have forced this package in terms of trying to bring the spending down somewhat. They're very concerned about, that we're just throwing the money out the window. At the same time, you've got millions of people out there who need these checks to keep going through in order to put food on the table. And on top of it, you always have to put politics on top of it. You have vulnerable Senate Republicans who need to get these checks to people, in particularly in the states that they're living in. So, I think that what will end up happening is we will get a deal. It's just going to take a while, a lot longer than I think the patience the American people have right now.
So let's drill down on one particular thing you touched on, that being unemployment insurance. And I know that there was at least the notion of a plan to switch from unemployment insurance benefits over to wage replacement. I know Republican Senator Kennedy of Louisiana, of course, had expressed some skepticism about that in terms of State Department of Labor's really not being up to the task in terms of being able to switch over their formulas and being able to implement that program quickly given where they are technologically. That's something we've seen here in Wisconsin as well. Is that a provision that you foresee actually being in the final package once it is passed?
I think it's really unclear. I definitely think we're going to have checks go out to people. I definitely think that, the income threshold, and you could see, you heard the $40,000 cap being put out there, floated out there at $75,000. I think you're going to see relief happen, but in terms of unemployment insurance and how that occurs is really still up in the air. I mean, it is a sticking point. It's anyone's guess right now.
So sticking with legislation here, we know that in election years, Congress can kind of slow to a crawl, and especially right now with COVID taking up a lot of the oxygen in the room, should we really be expecting to see anything else from Congress for the remainder of this year in terms of substantial legislation?
I think this is it. This piece of legislation is going to be a bear to get done. It's likely not going to be done this week. That was the goal by the weekend. And it's going to drag out for a little while. It could drag out for a week to 2 weeks, maybe even longer. I hope not. In this political environment, the longer it drags, frankly, it hurts the people in charge. And those people, are Republicans who who have control of the majority in the Senate and the White House. After that, members of Congress are going to go home and they're going to campaign for the remainder of the year. Now, the House and Senate may bring their members back for some particular housekeeping things, but I can't see anything really majorly being done unless we have another emergency that needs to be attended to quickly.
So let's close out from my line of questioning, at least, with the presidential election. So a lot of the polling we've seen, whether it be approval ratings, right track, wrong track, horse race specifically against Joe Biden, seems to be coming together to paint this picture that President Trump is trailing just 3 months out from the election. Is that the sense that Republicans in Washington have as well? And what can be done to close that gap?
So yes, I mean President Trump is trailing Joe Biden in national and state polls, including Wisconsin, and that's not necessarily a surprise since COVID-19 has really shut the country down. We have millions of people unemployed. The situation has really turned drastically since this past February and March. At the same time, Trump is not, it is not, these numbers aren't devastating towards him. The Real Clear Politics averages have him down, not by significant amounts of numbers. I think anyone who thinks that the president is 15 points down against Joe Biden, I don't think that's accurate. I also don't think you can count the president out. He has been down before. He's been in real drastic situations, and he's come back from behind. Interestingly enough, there was a focus group message testing done by the group Engages in conjunction with Axios, and they tested people in Macomb County, Michigan, and those who were Obama and now Trump voters. 7 or 8 out of 10 of those, to a T, said that they were very concerned about Joe Biden being president. They were worried that he wouldn't be the one in control, and that he might just be, might be some other people behind the screen. It's kind of just sort of a strange environment where anything can happen right now. It's so fluid. Anybody, like, the conventional wisdom would be that President Trump is on a glide path to lose, but you just don't make those kind of predictions anymore after 2016, even in a coronavirus pandemic.
So to close out here, Ron, I always give my guests a little bit of a chance to talk about whatever they have on their mind, plug whatever they have going on. So what is it, from your perspective as a Washington insider, what are you thinking about that we might not be thinking about here in Wisconsin?
Well, it's really interesting. I've teamed up with 2 other market research firms and my firm, Rokk Solutions, and we have what's called a back to normal barometer survey, where we're tracking consumers and employees over every 2 weeks and finding out what they're thinking and feeling about the recovery and what it's going to take for them to get back to normal. And what we saw was a resurgence in mid-June of people, early to mid-June, of people that were ready to get out there. And now we can see those numbers drastically sliding back to, the April numbers. We're testing we have a variety of subscribers who are trade associations representing a variety of different industries. And it's going to take what we've surmised is it's going to take a vaccine. It's going to take or some type of medical treatments to really put the trust back to people who need assurances from their local and national medical authorities that it's okay to go back to work, to go back to their real routines. So anyway, that's what we're working on right now. And it's a real fascinating exercise.
Ron, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Pat. Really appreciate it.